Eclipse Games podcast. We bring you the latest in gaming news, indie reviews, and everything else under the sun. My name is Kendall, and I'm here with my co-host
Tony, aka Earth, Wind, and Fire Emblem.
go, genuinely go. I give you that one. Yeah, that touches on the dad in me. My dad is smiling down at that joke. He got half of it. He gets half of it. But we are back again, man. Back for another episode 31, man. Wait, 32 actually.
32.
We are on our Magic Johnson number, yes, sir. Yeah, we are here, rolling right along. We getting later into the year, and I know pretty soon we're gonna have more games to talk about. That release schedule is not dying down. We got Mario coming up, Sonic coming up, Spider-Man coming, all within 3 days of each other. So we got a lot to talk about, but for now, we want to take this brief moment to touch on some of the indies that we've loved. Right now, Steam Next Fest is going on, so I've got a couple demos that I kind of want to talk about. But Tony, I know you had a few games that you kind of wanted to revisit and kind of talk about the state of them. So if you want to jump into any of them, we can dive right into it, man.
Yeah, man. To start, I mean, I brought it up like early back when, I was still recording this shit in my car. Ultra Pro Wrestling. And
Yes.
they've done Hyper Focus Games has done a lot with the graphics and the animations and the gameplay since then. I mean, it's looking exactly like if I pulled out my copy of Revenge and popped that shit in right now. It's
Nice.
starting to really come to the point. Like the audio, the sound design on it is so accurate. It's ridiculous. Like if like just listening, if you run on YouTube, like run the menu and just people going through and playing the game, the sounds that you hear in Revenge and No Mercy are the same sounds that you hear in Ultra Pro Wrestling. Like they're really trying to nail this down to the tiniest fucking detail. I think they've been recently dropping like some developer live streams and kind of revealing what they're doing with the DLC, which they're getting some of the older legends to sign on as like free agent DLC. I think I read something that said they've got a bunch more that they want to sign on, but they have to wait for the WWE Legends contracts to expire because like WWE be having motherfuckers in a chokehold. They sign you to some shit, you ain't doing nothing unless they give you the AOK through about 800 people and then Vince.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of waiting, and I'm pretty sure there's gonna probably be some bigger names. I don't know when Bret Hart's Legends contract expires. I'm hoping that he's one of the ones they get, but I kind of doubt it because I feel like WWE signed him like right in the middle of the CM Punk run because CM Punk's such a Bret Hart guy. They tried to keep him away from AEW, so I feel like he's got a few more years on that. So it's gonna be a minute.
Makes sense.
But they ran through the whole character roster, showing off the models. I think they actually upgraded some of the textures, but they've really got it like down to where it's just like it's a really small team. I think the guy is developing. I think his name is Sam. I think it's him and maybe like 4, maybe 5 other people that are working on it, in addition to Hal Haney, who does the art. So, like, it's going to take some time for this to drop. I think they're aiming for like 2024, but it's coming along great. And I can't wait to see it drop. I'm hoping if they need a publisher for it, that somebody picks them up. If they, dropping it on their own, I hope we see it soon.
Yeah, I love to see these games kind of build themselves up over time like that. It sounds like they're doing everything that you would hope that a game like that would do, like improving all the little things. If you're seeing improvements in textures, roster, I mean, there's not much else you can ask for except for them to have the gameplay down. So that damn sure sounds like a project to look out for, man.
Yeah, I'm on that shit as soon as it drop.
Absolutely. Hopefully that's soon. But like I said, there are a lot of indies kind of on the radar right now, and it's a year where some of them are kind of gonna not really get the shine that they deserve, because there's so much shit out right now. Like, we've talked about, Ultra Pro Wrestling that at length. I think we have a review up, right? Like, was there? No, that was no.
I told you about WrestleFest. I wrote a review for another site.
Yeah. That's the one. Yeah. But you see how like, there's so many games coming out that we kind of they kind of blend in together, you know what I mean? And we don't want that to happen. We want to kind of give them the shine and the spotlight that they deserve, especially in a year that's so jam-packed with releases. So with that being said, I've definitely kind of delved into this Steam Next Fest, kind of played a few demos. So I'll kind of sprinkle in some of my indie impressions in between yours. One game that I do want to talk about, I haven't even really tried this one. I'll just start with it because it's kind of the hottest, most like buzzing indie game from Next Fest that I've seen the most talk about, and that's Another Crab's Treasure. Have you seen that game?
I've seen some video of it.
That game looks incredible. Like if the Souls thing kind of puts you off a little bit, like if that formula kind of throws you, try this game out anyway. It's got about as much like platformer as it does like Souls like energy. It does have that Souls like energy though. Don't get me wrong. You run up into a boss, like bro, I thought I was playing a Mario game underwater, and this nigga just completely just destroyed my shield. Like I'm done for it. But it's a game where there's enough variety. Like you're basically to give you the premise. It's Souls like when you play as a little crab, you pick up items like bottle caps and cans and things like that as your shields, like the on your back as your crab, like your little house, and you block by going into it, but you parry by like coming out of it at the right time. So like there's a timing base, and each one of them has a different ability. Like I think if you get like a soda can as your shield, you like shoot bubbles at shit. Like there's like a lot of perks to everything. It's actually a pretty dope game. Like it sounds just as lighthearted as it looks. Like it definitely looks like you would expect a 3D platform to look, but it's like I said, it's got that Souls like formula. So you're parrying and
bust your ass.
yeah, to some degree, you know what I mean? Like it's gonna be a solid little challenge, but it's not like punishing in that way. And from what I've seen, I haven't gotten a chance to play this demo yet. That's next up on my list, but I wanted to touch on that just because it's one of the coolest looking games I've seen from Steam Next Fest. And if you haven't heard of it, definitely try that one out.
See, you said punishing, and that reminded me of something that I'm going to get to something when we get to the end of this.
Mm.
But now there's something we definitely need to talk about
Mm.
on the subject of punishing games,
Okay.
especially considering it's October and it's spooky season.
Absolutely. That's very appropriate. Now I'll segue to one more game that I've been playing off the spooky season vibes. It's a game called The Last Faith. Again, it's kind of got some Souls-ish vibes to it, but it's actually like it's more of a Castlevania game with the aesthetic of a Souls game than anything. Like this is a Castlevania game for sure.
I'm gonna say that's something I need to buy right now.
Hell yeah! Like try out this demo. It's called The Last Faith. Like you jump into it, it's got like it's voice acted, which is cool. Like you actually get to hear people talking and whatnot, and that gives you that Castlevania vibe. So you're going through this like 2-dimensional. It's got that same dramatic voice acting that you'll remember from a Symphony of the Night. Like it's got those vibes 1,000%. But being that it's called The Last Faith, it kind of deals in like the church and like during a time when the church was kind of ruling things. Its gameplay is really dope, and again, it's a challenge, but you got a lot at your disposal. It plays like a Castlevania where you're wielding swords and different shit like that. Like you actually get new weapons and changes your play style a little bit, so you're not resigned to just using your whip or whatever. Which is again a lot like Symphony of the Night, but it definitely has that Soulsborne feel to it. So you get that challenge with every enemy. Like I died a few times in it, and I haven't gotten too far in that one either, but just the aesthetic, the vibe of it, it's definitely one to look out for sure.
Nah, that sound dope too. I'm like I had been like paying attention to some of the Steam stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but I hadn't really jumped into it because I'm still like head first into Cyberpunk.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I've rediscovered my love for that shit all over again. Just I haven't even gotten the DLC yet. Just on the 2.0 update, I've just rediscovered my love for that shit.
It seems like a lot
Um,
of people have. Yeah.
yeah, it's incredible. But the one thing that I did obviously pay attention to mainly because of like my childhood. I grew up playing You Don't Know Jack
Hmm.
in my grandmother's house. Like she only had one disc. It was just one disc. It wasn't like because there was like a sports version, a movie version.
Yeah,
This was
yeah.
back when it was just a self-contained game, and she only had like the OG version. And I would play that shit like nonstop every time I was at her house. So when I started seeing like the Jackbox party games, I was picking that up and then playing You Don't Know Jack off of that, and then like the other stuff that was popping up on there, Drawful, and I think there's a joint with like robots battle rapping and stuff like that. Um, but nah, Jackbox Party Pack 10, I'm all in on just because of what it is. And they got some dope like there's a game called TKO where you draw like the best T-shirt design on the game, and the best T-shirt design wins, and people just go like fucking ridiculous with it.
I believe it.
I can't remember. I don't know if it's on this pack, but there's a game where you have to like lie, and then it's like you get four people, and everybody puts an answer in, and whoever I guess lies the best wins.
Interesting.
And I mean, and it's one of those games that's fun with like two people.
Yeah. But if you get a whole group of people, I'm sure it's like,
I remember we was in the party one time running it, and it just because niggas be lying anyway. Everybody play Among Us.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that shit was just crazy. Dog, we done had some Among Us. Man, I saw you come out the gate. You ain't seen nothing, dog. It wasn't me.
Just bold face lies.
Nigga, your favorite color green. So you the green one. So that ain't me.
Man, you learn a lot about people playing games like that for sure.
Bruh.
For sure.
Dog.
Nah, that might be one I'm
people close
on.
to me that found out I'm actually an excellent liar. I'll say that much.
Man, listen, I hope they never discover it about me, because once you discover that, it's like, oh, is it really cold outside today? I don't know if I trust this man.
But see, that's the thing, because you know me, I don't like. I'll say whatever the fuck. I'll tell the truth, no matter what. But when you're an excellent liar on top of that, that's a dangerous fucking combination.
That's a terrible combination.
Yeah.
It's learn something today. Learn to be
I convinced somebody I had rabies once. Just for the hell of it. Just went to work and was limping because I hurt my leg. And they was like, "What happened to you?" I said, "A dog bit me. I had to go get a rabies shot." And just people was concerned the whole fucking day. And I'm like, "Yo, y'all, that's gullible." And now he's like, "Nah, I just hurt my leg."
that's some.
And that was like one of my worst ones.
You just puppeting these people, just toying with.
But
terrible.
Okay, Among Us is still incredible.
Yes, and I know not to play with your ass now. Thank you for getting me hip to that.
Yep.
But nah, Jack in the Box, those games are ones that I've kind of slept on a lot, but I finally got a chance to experience them with some friends, and I know that these are going to be just as fire as they always are. But I'm not surprised that you haven't gotten a chance to delve into all these games. I really haven't either. Like, I'm going to talk about like a couple games that I've tried, like the ones that I mentioned already. But it's only been a handful, and it's like what I've been doing is window shopping like a motherfucker, like going on there. Oh, that looks dope. Let me install that. Oh, that looks dope. Let me install that. And I go and I try to find them, and I can't find them because I'm looking through the ones I did this for last year that I still ain't fucking tried. Like it's a mess. But I had to jump into a couple more. I only got two more that I want to kind of talk about. One of them is Star Ocean, the second story. The remake, I don't know if you remember that one from like the Nintendo Direct.
Yeah, when you said that, I'm like, hold on, what?
Yep. Yeah.
I know it was on Steam.
Yeah, it's just a demo, so you get like 3 hours of it. I've only put in like maybe almost an hour or so, but it's like what you would expect. It's an old school RPG with like the most modern coat of paint possible. The way that they made this shit look, like the backgrounds are completely 3-dimensional. Like all of it is fully rendered. And it almost feels like Paper Mario. Like that's kind of the general vibe, because your characters are 100% 2D. They do look like the characters from like Octopath and shit like that, but everything being built up in like, high resolution, but still having that charming, like almost whimsical art style. It definitely gives me those Paper Mario vibes. And then the gameplay, it's got that. I'm not really a big Star Ocean player. Like, not that I'm not a fan, but it's just like a series that I haven't really delved into too much. But I didn't know it played so much like almost like a Tales game, where it's like an action-based combat system where you're running around a small field, and you can actually like use circle to, hit shit and like use your special attacks with L1 and R1 and things like that. So
it's a lot of fun. Tell me it was Tales.
Facts. Like, it brought me right back to those old school games. And the fact that it is an old game that feels so fresh based on what they did to it is endlessly impressive. So definitely give that one a try if you have any interest in RPGs. I always sucked on this series. Just like 90% of all the fucking million RPG series that were on the PS1, bro. Like, it was hard to keep up, But this was one that, again, I talked about it before. Star Ocean, just a dope name. Just a cool sounding series. Yeah. And I've always been kind of like intrigued by what exactly Star Ocean is. glad I'm kind of getting to find out this way.
Did you play Blasphemous?
Yes, I did. I haven't played Blasphemous 2 yet, but and I didn't finish Blasphemous 1. Like I tried it out a little bit, but that's quite a game.
Nigga, that art style, like aesthetic,
Yeah,
it's creepy without being scary.
man, I'm
And I
telling you,
think
like,
that's a tough thing to pull off because normally when you like lean into creepy, you're automatically going to scary.
right.
But like the torturous like aesthetic, niggas got they eyes bleeding and shit.
It's
And like
horrific.
just the statuesque faces that just be
Yeah,
on random shit. Dog, it's one
like
of the creepiest games I've ever played, but it's so fucking fun.
it's dope as hell. And that's the game. If you were to ask me what 2D game captured Dark Souls the best, that's the game. Like that's Dark Souls 2D. Like that's what Dark Souls play like. Like
I
that's what
got
that shit
my
is.
ass beat. It was what that game started what, like 15 minutes into the game and you ran into a boss
Facts.
with like next to no idea actually how to play it. And this
Exactly.
motherfucker was huge. Like out the gate, and I'm like, yo, I got no
Bro.
clue what I'm doing right now. I
Yep.
think I mean he only took me out like twice. I came back on the third one and got him. But it was it didn't feel cheap. Like somehow I can't explain it, but somehow it felt right.
Yeah.
Like the way the game was set up, the way the game looks, the way the game feels, it just felt right to run into that motherfucker off rip
Mm-hmm.
and have to fight my way past them just to get to the other shit.
I'm
And
a
that's tough. That's a tough thing to pull off, man.
Absolutely. I'm gonna clip out the last minute of what you said and put it on the page and be like, try to guess what game he's talking about. And you're gonna get Dark Souls 1, Demon Souls, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3. That's I'm telling you, this game captured that shit perfect. I
Yeah.
could literally describe, especially like a Dark Souls 3, like that opening boss that you fight. Blasphemous has that thing. And like, this is not me selling souls, this is me saying like Blasphemous really set out to do a thing and they did that shit. Like, good job. And then had
Yeah.
their own
And
identity
with
on
their
top
own
of it.
and with
Yeah,
their within their own shit. Cause I mean
right.
it's a Metroidvania straight
Exactly.
up.
Exactly. Like, but you realize how much those genres kind of bleed into each other. Like
Yeah.
Metroidvanias and Souls likes are about finding your way around. You don't find items that unlock paths, but the cool thing is finding the elevator that leads you back to the first place you got to, and you just travel for an
Right.
hour. Like, dog, wasn't I moving in one direction? How the fuck am I back here? And like that's the same feeling you get from a Metroidvania with the item discovery, which is kind of similar to the so-called Zelda formula, like the old school Zelda formula, where you get new items and you can go new places in the overworld, or like the dungeon opens up in a way where you didn't even realize you can get up there or around this thing or burn this down or whatever until you got the item that made it so clear. That sense of discovery, it's the same across all these games. Like it's the common thread that makes me love all this shit. Like it's one of
Yeah,
my
no,
favorite things about games.
it's kind of weird thinking about like the older Zelda games and how Link couldn't jump. Like you don't actually
Yeah.
realize how annoying that is until you go back and play him as an adult.
Oh man,
And you
listen.
just looking at a gap and it's like,
You
I
know
have to
when
go
I
get a hook
realized?
shot. Why can't I just jump?
I realized how annoying it was before I left Kakariko Village because of those little platforms that you jump across and you'll get money if you get them. And when I was a kid, it was just like the most impossible challenge for me. Like wrapping my head around running up to the goddamn ledge just to jump normally, or even better, it kind of showed me my growth when I got to Majora's Mask. That first part of the game where you're still in the forest outside of Termina Town, and
Oh
you
yeah,
go up on
when
the ledge, and you got to kind of flip your way across and shit. And it's
yeah.
like such a nothing ass challenge. But mind you, I'm 8 to 10 years old. Like this might stop me from playing the game ever again. Like this is the type of shit that happens to 8 year olds. But like it was very satisfying the way, especially because Youngling be finessing that shit. Like that
Nigga,
little
did your brain explode the first time you saw Link do a flip in Majora's Mask?
bro. It
Like going
was.
from Ocarina of Time and just like a regular jump, and then all of a sudden this motherfucker's doing like a side flip.
I really feel like it's part of what sold me on the game. Like it is why Majora's Mask hit me harder because that shit was dope as fuck. Like
Bro, I'm like,
especially
is this what I paid for with the expansion pack? Is that
like really.
was
It's,
that?
these are the new abilities of Link that you can. This is the power of the N64. These fucking
Yeah.
sideways flips. That shit
Nigga
crazy.
couldn't even flip as an adult.
Man, what this brings me to so many topics that have nothing to do with our topic of the episode, but I'm gonna go to them anyway.
That was the
But
point.
one, has there ever been no game has better water controls than Majora's Mask with the goddamn Zora? So I
No,
feel like I've something recently challenged the throne. I can't remember what it was that made me think about this, but that game is swooping through the water with the Zora Link, like bringing out your electric shield and just fucking up everything in sight.
fuck
Nothing
like
better.
likes.
Yes, fuck like
Just
likes,
random fucking likes just in the bottom of the fucking ocean.
bro. Just take everything from me. Just ruin your whole fucking day. Shield's
Fuck Tears of
gone.
the Kingdom likes, by the way.
Yeah,
Fuck
terrifying.
them.
They don't even take
Jesus.
shit from you, but they're just
They're
the
just they're
worst.
just terrifying. That's the most
Yeah,
terrifying enemy design they've ever come up with.
facts.
Even worse than the Gloom Hands. That's
100.
because we was
percent
like Gloom Hands. You somewhat ready for aesthetically because we've seen Floor Masters and Wall Masters. That was whatever. The last time we saw a it was just a amorphous blob of khaki
Yeah, yeah. It looked like
with
a
a
jellyfish. One of those
yeah
weird
with a
ones.
just a hole on the top of his head.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
thing had feet and it
yep.
just clung to walls and you couldn't even really hear it. You
Ugh.
would just come around a corner and that nigga would just hit you in the face.
Listen, there's something very organ-like about those things, and I don't like it.
Dog.
I don't like it at all.
No,
I'm,
no.
I'm pass. I'm a pass. But the other thing you made me think of is, when's the last time you really stopped to think about the fact that Super Mario 64 was like our first foray into 3D like gameplay, and they went that hard with the jumping. Like this man Mario was doing triple jump. Mario doesn't jump that well now. I I
No.
I stand by that. I think Mario controls better in Super Mario 64 than he does in almost any other 3D Mario. Probably not Sunshine, but you had the flood on you. But like outside of Sunshine and Sunshine kind of limited you because of the flood to some degree.
Right.
But like man, Mario 64, they really hit it out. That was the first one that worked. I'm talking about 3D in general in games. Like,
Odyssey was probably the only one that came close.
yeah. Odyssey had a lot to it. Like you could actually do a lot. You could finesse, especially with Cappy and whatnot. But
Yeah.
it took until
But
now for me to,
no,
yeah,
but straight up feel, yeah, there's nothing that's beaten 64 yet.
man. The only like if I wasn't sliding all over the fucking place because you had to have me sliding because that's like where the challenge comes from.
Yeah.
I would be a master at that game. But that's aside, that's aside the point. Let's get back to a couple more of these indies because I do have one more that I want to talk about from the next fest that I got to try out. It's a game called Skybreakers. It is the way I would describe it, and I have it written down here, is like Hades meets Vampire Survivors. It's kind of like yeah, like that's kind
Excuse
of
me?
so. It's not like on that tier, in my opinion, just yet. Like this is a demo. I didn't get to
It don't have to
delve
be on the
into it.
tier. I just need to know it play
Yeah.
like that.
So you kind of choose your character at the beginning. Like I picked a brawler dude who got the two swords and whatnot. You're dropping into like an open map. Not really like a lot of explanations. You dropped and enemies start coming, wave after wave of enemies. You take them out with your 3-hit combo. You have a dash that actually hits shit, like it attacks shit. At least with the character I played. And you can also, if you dash into an enemy when they have like a blue orb around them, they do certain attacks to give them that blue orb. You'll start like a frenzy mode or like bullet time type of thing where like the whole screen goes black and red and you just fuck shit up for a while. Um, at the end of each wave, like it's a timed wave, you get to unlock perks and shit like that, like the Hades sort of thing where like I'm unlocking blade beams and all type of shit. Like it starts off a little bit slow because like the 3-hit combo gets a little generic, but once you start getting like powerful, it's a pretty fun game. Like there's a lot of fun to be had. I actually cleared it on my first run and I just barely got past the last dude. There's like 4 or so like challenge bosses. I forget what they call them, but challengers or whatever. And they actually give you like a little bit of go. And it's pretty fun. It's worth trying. And I think if they have enough variety in the abilities, that shit could be pretty dope. Because the pick up and play aspect, when I say it reminds me of Vampire Survivors, I just mean that you're just in a field just going ham. Like you don't really have to. You start to like zone out and just kind of like combo, and it does have that like one more round. Let's see how far we can go without dying. You know, every round you get healed or whatever. Every round feels like leveling up in Vampire Survivors. So it's a pretty dope game. I like what I played so far.
I just download the demo. I ain't need to hear. I ain't really need to hear nothing else past Hades and Vampire Survivors.
Yeah, yeah. Like I think it could use a little bit more attack variety, but again, I just played the first character. There's two available, so maybe I didn't level up right. I'll give it a couple more tries, but I think it could be some really fun times. Let me know what you think of it because that joint is actually pretty interesting to me.
I think that's one of the tough things about demos is trying to give people a good idea of the game, but also not leave them with the impression that it feels limited, which is weird
Right,
because it's like you still have to reconcile in your head that it isn't a demo,
right.
but you're playing it like this should be more, and be like, well, it probably is, but who knows? You
Yeah.
could be totally right, and that motherfucker might be limited as hell, or because I mean, if you think about like what Vampire Survivors was
Hmm.
early, it's not the most like or wasn't the most detailed and expansive game yet. It just had a
Yeah,
really good loop.
exactly.
But then the shit that they added, like dog, it's like 50 characters in the fucking game.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's ridiculous. All the weapons and shit you can have flying around, the different combinations and all that. Man,
They've done a
it's
lot.
nuts.
Yeah, so you do have to give these games time, and this is why demos exist. You know, they can get the feedback from us, and we can kind of get a feel for what the game could be.
Hades.
Yeah, exactly. Early access is probably nothing like what we got in the end. You know, so I'm all for it, and that's why I recommend everybody kind of give it a try. If you like it, wishlist it because that helps these devs a lot. Like they actually really appreciate it. It kind of shows them their demand. It's almost like pre-order to some degree. So definitely check these games out. And just look through the Next Fest catalog. There's a lot of games that we didn't even touch on. There's like long list of must play Next Fest demos that I haven't even delved into because again, there's so much to play right now. Shit's crazy. So give it a
It's
try
all the
yourself. I'm
time.
exhausted.
So I wrote the review for Access Football 2023 a while back,
Right.
and I think I gave it like a I think I gave it like a 3.5 or a 3.75. Because I really do think because again, it's another indie game, another like sports indie games tend to be made by small teams because those tend to be the games where people are just really into that particular sport or
Mhm.
event. So they just do it. And that's kind of what Access Football ended up being was just Madden isn't enough, so I'm just gonna do this shit myself.
Right.
And if I'm recalling correctly, Access Football is still only made by one dude.
Which is crazy.
And he's dropping games now yearly. I think there was like a break for a little bit, but he was dropping games yearly at one point, and they each improved with every iteration of it. And I think I said in the review, like if that dude got the backing, like the financial backing of a publisher, um, that would be a Madden competitor.
Mm.
Like I really feel like that's a game because the franchise mode is probably the most expansive franchise mode I've ever seen. I mean, they you can do like European style football. You could have like relegation in there for those of us like me who think teams like the Broncos don't need to be in the NFL and need to be sent somewhere else. You could do stuff like that and send them to the lower leagues where they belong. And
Right.
instead of listening to the coach shit on the quarterback and the previous coach and then come out and do a shitty job itself.
Yep. Yep.
But Access Football 2024 is out on Steam now. I think they just got the approval to release on PlayStation. So that should be coming like in the next couple weeks. And I think they're still working on Xbox and Switch. But every gameplay video that I've seen to this point has been a massive improvement over 2023.
Mm.
So that's something else we need, like people need to support, especially Switch owners, because we don't have a 3D football game because EA is insistent on running Madden on fucking Frostbite engine, and Switch
Yeah.
don't run that. Not that it
That's right.
matters because it's basically on the way out, but still, you want your 3D football fix. Access Football 2024 when it drops. Go pick up 2023 just to throw some more money in their pocket.
Yeah.
There's Legend Bowl out there for 2D football fans. There's Retro Bowl, which you want to talk about a game that I'm addicted to. Retro Bowl is it. New Star
Yeah.
Games, I don't know, like they're time travelers. They came from the Tecmo Bowl days and came here and said, we're just going to make it again in
Yeah.
2022 and 2023. So I played the hell out of Retro Bowl on my phone. I
Me too.
bought it on Switch, played the hell out of it on Switch. And then like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I randomly found out because they had posted on Twitter that there was a Retro Bowl college.
Hmm.
And I downloaded that
Wow.
on my phone and I played it non-stop. Like it's every fucking college in that you could think of, which obviously there's licensing issues. You can't actually directly say LSU. So it'll say like Louisiana State
Right.
and it'll have their colors. Or like I think Morgan State is in there. And I think it's like Baltimore MS. But it's obviously Morgan State's colors.
Right.
But you can move from each conference. You can go from the minors to the Power Five, and I mean, it's got the team editor and stuff, so you can change the name. Like I changed it because I think the SEC is obviously trademarked, so I think it just says Southeast. But you
Makes
just
sense.
change it to SEC, and then you just change some of the team names so you know where you're moving and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
it's a full blown like college experience. There's recruiting and stuff, and the big difference is it's actually a tougher game because you start out like you have a scholarship fund and you can only sign players based on your scholarship. But it's not like a free agent pool like in Retro Bowl where if you got enough money or enough credits, you can just sign somebody in the middle of the season. You do
Right.
your
Right.
recruiting period, you done with your recruiting period, you get into the season and what you got is what you got, and you gotta make it work. You might get like a walk-on randomly where they'll tell you your coach has scouted this walk-on. Do you want to bring him in? The answer is almost always yes, because it's probably at a position you're stuck at, and they're like a 1 or 2 star or something like that. But like it's better than a no star.
Right. It's somebody.
Yeah. So that's the tough thing because then you gotta like build up your credit so you can increase the scholarship fund. But then you've also got to go to another school so you can get more money for donations when you win and shit. So it's like I said, it's tougher, man. Because I think I went through my first like 3 seasons at Morgan State with like 2 2-star players and 1 3-star player trying to make it work, and then finally won enough to where I could go to like Missouri in the SEC, and then won enough at Missouri so I could go to USC. So it
work your
was
way up.
dog. It was tougher, but man, I New Star be tearing that shit up, man. I ain't never been so addicted to a game other than Vampire Survivors. I play the fuck out of Retro Bowl, man.
Man, they got the formula, absolutely, and you're right. It like captures exactly what Tecmo Bowl had. It's crazy. Like it's crazy that they're the only ones to really tap into that. From what I've seen, like I know there's been others, but
yeah, well, Legend Bowl is like closer to like Madden 95, like that era of Madden games, where it's that like behind the back straight edge. Like they still have the behind the back camera that they do now, but it's that 2D style. So it's closer to that. Retro Bowl is really the only one that's tapped into that Tecmo Bowl feel.
Wow, man. This is what I always say, and this though really could be the theme of this episode. Pixelated games will never die. Like that shit is timeless. It's an art style that like you can freshen up in so many ways. Like Retro Bowl doesn't look freshened up. Like this game looks like it could exist back in the day, but it's
shout out to NBA Paint, by the way. They did the artwork on that shit.
Facts. That's dope. Yeah. I forgot to put that. Yeah, they do great work, man. Like there's a lot of great, retro pixelated artists that I need to check out. It's like half of what I follow on Twitter. It's crazy.
Dog.
they
just be seeing random ass art pop up on my timeline. I'll be like, yeah, that's fire. That's fire.
Just fire ass shit just for no reason. I'll take it all day. But before we get out of here, I do not. That's the last one I have. Do you have any more that you want to touch on?
Okay, so I brought this up earlier, and you had talked about punishing games, and I feel like this is a good place to end. Did you play when we were kids, either on Sega Genesis or Super Nintendo, Lion King?
Yes, I did on Sega Genesis at my cousin's house.
So we were on the same console.
Absolutely.
There is no game that is a better representation of hell than the Lion King.
Facts.
There is
Facts.
no level. And you can talk to me about Battletoads all the fuck you want. There is no level tougher than Can't Wait to Be King. There just isn't.
The demands that they had for us.
Nigga,
it's crazy.
Yell at the monkey, switch the monkey's direction, get thrown by the monkey, realize the monkey threw you in the wrong direction, start over, get back to that monkey, scream at him, get thrown to the next monkey, scream at him and hope you got that one right. And if you get it all right, your reward is to ride on a fucking ostrich where the collision detection is so bad you can drop down in a crouch 2 seconds before you hit the thing you're supposed to hit and still die.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And you start over because there's no checkpoints.
You start over. Like that shit is real.
You start the entire level over, and then you have to do all that monkey screaming again. And if you run out of lives, guess what? You're starting the whole fucking game from the beginning.
Yep. From scratch. Heartbreaking.
I was lucky enough to beat that level one time in my life.
Better man than me.
15 years ago.
Yeah.
And I made it to the elephant graveyard and died there. I have not beaten that game. All right. To this day, I have not beaten that game. You know what I did? You know, they re-released the shit on Switch and a couple other consoles and that Disney package with Aladdin.
Mm-hmm.
I bought that shit. I'm going to beat that motherfucking game.
I respect it. Listen.
I'm going to beat that game. I beat Aladdin. Aladdin was fire.
Aladdin, yeah, that's another one that's actually hard as fuck though. Don't get me wrong.
Tough as hell.
For no reason. Like this was a time period where, for one, licensed games just on a different level. It's like the formula that made video games good was so pure at this time period that like you could just make shit and it was going to be good. Like good enough level design was going to get you there. Bad enough level design was going to leave your game in a ditch. Like literally. Like on some mafia shit, we're dumping this, but
and it's somehow formed in the legend that way.
Which is crazy. But the three that really stand out for me, Disney wise, Lion King, Aladdin, and DuckTales. Those were the three that were just like, wow, this is actually a great game. Like, why?
I didn't play DuckTales.
DuckTales was a good, and I didn't play.
I'm gonna get the remastered version.
Yeah, same. I didn't play DuckTales either, but I know of DuckTales lore. Like I know of the history of DuckTales. So those are the three that stand out in my mind when I think about Disney's domination of licensed games during that time period. Because I did play Lion King, and I did play Aladdin back in the day. Again, I did not beat them. You are a true champion among men. I was not even close to beating that.
Yeah, shit. No, I beat Aladdin, but yeah, Lion King still like. That's my Moby Dick, man. That's my white whale. I got to. Like that's the one. Like if I died before I beat that game, I would be haunting the world forever as a ghost who had unfinished business. That would be the one thing that would tether me to this planet, is the fact that I didn't beat that fucking game.
Controller just kind of wrapped around your neck or whatever.
No, if I were to beat that game tonight, it doesn't matter what happens from here on out. If I die, I have finished all of my unfinished business. I could never end up in the gaming industry. The Eagles could never win another Super Bowl.
Oh, wait.
Ever again.
Hang on.
They could never win a Super Bowl ever again, and I still wouldn't feel like I had unfinished business. And quite honestly, don't say hold on, motherfucker. We got 2018, and we shouldn't have got that motherfucker. But thank you to Keanu Neal and your knee.
Listen, honestly, I ain't even mad at that take. Like, we got 2018 is where that sentence stops for me. I don't give a fuck about what should happen. But I'm gonna need to see one more. Right now. Last year crushes my soul. Like we could have just. That's when I would have been.
Bro, you looking at it the wrong way. I'm gonna tell you why you looking at it the wrong way. And fuck it, we can get into sports because we got into all kinds of other shit. That's what we do. I'm gonna tell you exactly why you looking at it the wrong way.
Okay.
Because that was the Super Bowl where everybody had to shut the fuck up about Jalen. Because I said, I was probably one of the only people that said this. And I said on Twitter, you could find the fucking tweet. Right after they got their ass beat by Tampa Bay and he looked as bad as he looked in a game, I said that we can win with him. I don't care. I saw something in him. We can win with him. And the very next year, Super Bowl. And all he had to do was show the fuck out. We didn't have to win that game. All he had to do was show the fuck out. And he outplayed Jordan.
He did.
He outplayed Patrick Mahomes in the biggest game to date in his career. First shot. And the only reason he didn't get a shot at winning that game is because niggas got a little grab happy. It happens. Fuck Jonathan Gannon, by the way. But that's the takeaway you should take away from that Super Bowl. And I feel like we can go again, but all we needed was for Jalen to show out so we can have to hear, oh, he can't do it. He can't do it. Nah, he can do it.
I agree that that's all we needed. We don't need to solidify this team as one of the best Eagles teams ever. We don't need for them to win necessarily. But if they did win, you couldn't tell me shit ever.
Look,
let
me tell you something. Look, Jalen win this fucking Super Bowl, I'm gonna be the most insufferable motherfucker on the internet.
Facts.
I'm already insufferable, and the motherfucker only went 5-0 twice.
That's all it took, man. Like this shit already historic, so it is what it is. Yeah. Like you're gonna have to
never went 5-0 in back-to-back seasons. Come on, you already winning.
Off a Super Bowl loss, that does not happen. So
does not happen ever.
The great takeaway from this episode is go Birds. That's our takeaway.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts is him.
Big facts, always will be. And with that, we're going to go ahead and bring this one to a close. Let us know what indie games you have been playing, and let us know how you feel about the Birds. Unless, it's negative, you can shut the fuck up.
Oh, no. If you got negativity, come with it, because I guarantee your team ain't 5-0.
Listen, that's facts. That's facts. And even if they are, I'm willing to have that conversation. It's all good. I'll let me Niners fans.
Well, unless you're a 40, I was about to say, unless you're a 49ers fan, then we can actually talk about it. But the rest of you motherfuckers y'all ain't got zeros in the right side. Don't speak to me.
Big facts.
Poverty franchises.
But listen, until next time, man, keep watching them games. Let us know how you feel about these indie games that we've been talking about.
This gonna fuck around, be outdated as fuck by the time you drop. Man, I was
mad as fuck. I was trying so hard not to jinx something. Like, yo, we got this in. All right, fuck it. I don't care. Right now, we 5-0.
We gonna have to drop this bitch on Sunday mornings.
Facts. Nope. Let's go. Fuck all that trap game shit. Nope, we're not doing it. And now it cursed again, so I'm kind of pandering until we can.
Beat Zach Wilson ass.
We should. It's supposed to go like that. We're gonna see what happens, but don't count nobody out. That's what I say every week. And don't count none of these indie games out either, man. These games could come up and surprise you. So let us know what you've been loving from Steam Next Fest, and what you've been playing lately, and what you think is one of the top games of the year. Because I know a lot of people have been loving Sea of Stars. Been hearing a lot of talk about a few different games. Cocoon is pretty amazing. Definitely holler at us with your takes. But until next time, I'm Kendall. This is Tony, and keep gaming. Take care.